Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you. Very much appreciate learning with you and all that you're doing in service, and that we're able to understand each other well together. Thank you so much. The presentation today is entitled Psychic and Mystical Experiences Compared to. Now, the AMORC book, The Sanctuary of Self, by Imperator Emeritus Ralph M. has a chapter on the illusions of the psychic. We'll continue to follow up on that discussion that compares psychic and mystical experiences. Now, both types of experiences are part of a balanced growth and maturing of the aspirant. And while these two types of experience are part of one continuum, it can be helpful to know how they work together and have different characteristics and purposes. When we know the laws as well as the experience, then we're able to direct these things efficiently with mastership and well-being for ourselves and others. Related to this, I want to show you, as often as our practice, some images that you may find quite helpful in terms of this topic. Now, before you, you'll see a print from an engraving that dates from 1795. It's actually depicting a renowned scene from the Shakespearean drama, The Merchant of Venice, Act 5, Scene 1. It's in a grove and a lawn before Portia's house. I remember as a child, the parents took me to a live performance of The Merchant of Venice, and it made a very deep impression on me. In a way, deep calls through deep throughout our lives and down through the generations. And ever since that profound experience of seeing The Merchant of Venice, over my course of my life, I've looked more deeply and deeply into all the things that were being referred to in that drama. In a way, the great Shakespearean dramas and the sonnets and the poems, in our way, if you view them as an overarching experience, they convey the cosmic sense or the cosmic consciousness back of the experience of all the rich expressions of life and humanity. And the scene before us is of that type. It's remarkable in that this scene is one of the things that's known about is it makes an allusion to what's referred to as the harmony or the music of the spheres. You'll see before us there the moonlit night. There's the musician over here, Stefano. We see Jessica, the daughter of Shylock, and we see Lorenzo. And there's a very beautiful statements that they make to each other at that time. In regard to the music of the spheres, here's a depiction of the music of the spheres. It's associated here with a heliocentric or sun-centric sun at the center. It doesn't necessarily have to be from what we know from earlier times in history. But you notice the planets and the moon, and they're moving in their harmonious manner associated with rhythm of music. And we see the angels or the cherubims at the above, and even biblical verses that are listed at the bottom. And this way, we see sort of a wonderful depiction of something that's very inspiring in our lives. The Rosicrucians are very practical, so this concept of the music of the spheres we actually deal with in our teachings and how to experience it. And among the many weekly exercises that we learn in reading the monographs in our studies as Rosicrucians, of which these presentations help suggest, but to get the thorough understanding of our life, there's the weekly monographs and exercises, in addition to the exercises we do and we'll be doing shortly, that you can hear the harmony of the spheres. Often, many think that it's not possible to do so, but in mystical teachings, learning more about psychic and mystical experiences, we're increasingly able to do things that many have thought isn't possible. In this regard, let me put these two images up together for you, and you can see them. We have the two lovers together, and often that's a special time for psychic and mystical experience. Indeed, down through the annals of mysticism, there's this what's referred to as the mystical marriage, um, whereas the concept that we can have through our lived experience, whether it be in our relationships with others, we go into that deeper sense of moving from the law duality to the law of unity, and various other special experiences that come apart through our relations with others of a psychic nature. A harmony of relations between peoples, a harmony of relations, the spheres. The Rosicrucians have a beautiful term for that, harmonium, or simply harmony, where there's harmony on all levels of our being. And the Rosicrucian teachings allow us, through our exercises, to increasingly experience that and help pass that on to others. Now, in this regard, let me quote from a particular section of the Merchant of Venice that you'll see before us here. Lorenzo speaks, "How sweet the moonlight sleeps upon this bank. Here while we sit and let the sounds of music creep in our ears, soft stillness of the night, become the touches of sweet harmony. Sit, Jessica, look how the floor of heaven is thick inlaid with patents of bright gold. There's not the smallest orb which thou beholdest, but in his motion, like an angel sings, still querying to the young-eyed cherubims. Such harmony is in immortal souls, but whilst this muddy vesture of decay doth grossly close it in, we cannot hear it. But through meditation and other exercises, we become increasingly sensitive, and things that thought weren't possible or possible to sense start to become possible." Let us, inspired by this concept, let us enter into our meditation and approach the harmony of the spheres and what Rosicrucians refer to as the overarching harmony, or harmonium. I invite you now to take in this beautiful engraving and inspiring story associated with the Merchant of Venice. You know, from many of you have seen the live performances and deeply appreciate its deep conveyances. There's a variety of mentions of Pythagoras or allusions to the Pythagoreans' teachings in the Merchant of Venice. Befittingly, the Pythagoreans talk about the harmony of the spheres. Also, we know that there was a play by an anonymous author entitled Pythagoras that appeared just before the Merchant of Venice, which may have been part of the inspiration for this scene. As well, the author of the drama may have been familiar with Francesco Giorgi's book, De Harma Mundi from 1525, it writes quite extensively on the harmony of spheres. It's a very rich tradition down through the ages, and it's one that can inspire us today to experience. At this time, I invite you to engage in a period of meditation. The Rosicrucians are very practical. We wish to bring these lofty things down to earth so our sense impressions can comprehend and apply them. I invite you now to sit comfortably in your chair, or if you're lying down, and let go of the cares of the day. And when you're ready, close your eyes and turn inward. And if it's comfortable for you to let go of who you are and where you are, we'll come back to these matters matured, evolved, fresh, and with a new perspective, a new understanding of ourselves through meditation, the central practice of spirituality and the Rosicrucian exercises. I invite you to concentrate on your breath, the inhalation and the exhalation. Just like the great movement of the harmony of the spheres suggesting a wondrous music. So our breath, in a way, is part of the music of the body. And they're all beautifully tied through higher and higher octaves or doubling of vibrations. And I invite you to extend your exhalation longer than your inhalation so that the great vagus nerve is stimulated. It works its wonder and healthful effects to the autonomic nervous system in the holy temple that is our body. Just enjoy the gentle rhythms of the breath, extending the exhalation. Feel the relaxation in response immediately. Feel the tranquility that it gives rise to. Feeling of harmony, calmness, the serenity as we spiritualize this act as aspirant and students of mysticism on the path. As we become increasingly sensitive to the holy temple of the body, you may feel special tingling that is the life force dealt with in many articles of the Rosicrucian and our teachings and exercises. Not only as a theory, but a very enriching practice experience. This relaxation that we feel helps us to heal, become whole. It can have that impact on others that we contact, indeed all others. These are part of the inspiring conceptions associated with harmonium and the mastership of life. Just continue to extend your exhalation longer than the inhalation. And just stay focused on the breath. And just feel whatever there is to feel. Indeed, feel all there is to feel. Let's view this as a mini retreat to be recharged, re-energized, and rested. As we're still and concentrated on the breath, we increasingly become sensitive to the various flows in the body. Electromagnetic energy through the nervous system, the air and breathing through the respiratory system, flow of the blood through the cardiovascular system, and flows of various other systems in the body, but overarching them all is the great flow of the vital life force through our body. The way it forms a wondrous music within the microcosm, the temple of the body, mirroring, matching the great harmony of the spheres. Now let us continue our meditation period by applying the instructions of the Rosicrucian booklet, Liber 777, which will give you resources on later in the presentation. Just as our breathing has allowed us to enact the law of purification, this is an invocation, applying the law of purification, which I invite you to say with me now. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now, fratres and sorors and participants, I invite you to use all your imaginative capacity and psychic faculties. Picture yourself rising up from wherever you are, your home, your office, your dwelling, your building, rising up over your neighborhood, your local geographic area, town or city, whatever it would be. And keep rising up faster and faster as we move from the psychic, the physical to the psychic to the mystical, from the finite plane to the infinite plane. Let us continue to rise and see down below you your county, your province or state, the landforms, the weather systems, the great system and order of it all. and now your great nation or country, and continue to rise up, enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent through your imaginative and psychic faculties. It's our birthright to be able to do this. Let us keep rising up higher and higher and see now the continent where we dwell and even the hemisphere, and now the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, its great sphere or blade spheroid. See it revolving, rotating about its axis. The beautiful moon revolving about the earth. As we continue to rise up higher and higher, let us look up and see the great revolutions, the elliptical orbits, the planets around the fiery ball of the sun. And let's look up and see further as we travel up faster and faster, way beyond the speed of light. As we transcend space and time, the nebulae and stellar phenomena, the quasars, the pulsars, the black holes helping balance the universe, the rogue planets, the asteroids. Just continue to rise up and enjoy the exhilaration, the ascent, and the experience of the harmony of the spheres, the music of the spheres. It's great subtle music of inspiring nature. Let's continue to rise up higher and higher, experiencing the music of the spheres. Seeing now the great inspiring arm, the Milky Way galaxy, our local galaxy where we dwell, as we pass out from it and look back at its great rotating action about its center. And look up and see other galaxies and nebula, stars, as we travel farther and farther, faster and faster, increasingly accelerating way beyond the speed of light, enjoying the beauty of it all, our physical and psychic senses. And we'll apply the law of correspondence, for as we rise up higher and higher in the ascent, we'll go deeper and deeper within ourselves, to the very center of our being, experience the increasing presence of the divine within ourselves, imbued throughout creation, associated with the beautiful term of the Rosicrucians, the cosmic. As we rise up higher and higher, we sense the universal intelligence back of the cosmos, and all natural and spiritual laws, which we combine together, we call the cosmos. Take in the wondrous harmony and order. As we zoom past other galaxies, and even clusters of galaxies, and even clusters of galaxies, known as superclusters by astrophysicists and astronomers today, and continue to rise up, enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent. At the same time, there's the dual action, going deeper and deeper within ourselves, all assisted by the music of the spheres. And let us increasingly take in the large-scale structure of the cosmos. You may even sense it revolving about a great cosmic axis. And when you sense that presence of that great axis, zoom in on its center, the very center of the cosmos. And when you come to it, slow up and let us dwell there a while in silence. Enriched and ennobled by this wondrous place, the center of our being, at the center of the cosmos. Let us apply further instructions of the booklet Liber 777. And let us visualize our own personal sacred space or celestial sanctum. You may wish to visualize an inspiring temple back on earth, or an inspiring place in nature, or just simply the wondrous view of the cosmos all about you. But fill in the sights and sounds, both physical and psychic, and the inner spiritual impressions at this high point experience of cosmic consciousness, consciousness of the cosmic. You may wish to picture incense rising, predicting the law of transmutation, just as we rose up to this high place of spirituality and consciousness. Or various stained glass windows or symbols of Rosicrucian and mystical laws and principles that we have been applying. You may wish to picture all those on this conference call and other seekers and officers, Grand Lodge officers, Supreme Grand Lodge officers of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC, maybe conducting a sacred convocation at the heights of the celestial sanctum. Feel the exhilaration of being in your personal sacred space. And when you're ready, with gratitude, deep love, and emotion, we release the visualization into the subconscious and deep into the cosmic mind, and just surrender and let go and be receptive. We dwell, applying the law of silence and the law of cosmic attunement. Find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently. Bring it back to the discipline of the breath, sensing the presence of the center of your being, the center of the cosmos. And just feel all there is to feel. Now, there's many, many reasons to rise to the heights of the celestial sanctum. Some will include for our general enlightenment. Some can include to seek answers to questions not available by other means, to the infinite resources of the God, divine within, the master within. Maybe to direct healing to ourselves and others. Maybe to conduct various Rosicrucian exercises that we learn on a weekly basis. At this time, I invite you in the spirit to conduct another spiritual operation of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC, the sending of metaphysical aid. Let us radiate from this high point of spirituality, from our being. Love and well-being and healing. To all those who have petitioned Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC for guidance and healing. And let us radiate love and well-being to all those who petition our affiliate bodies, the Rosicrucian Order AMORC of this Grand Lodge. And let us radiate love and well-being to all those you know who are in need of guidance and healing. Let us radiate love and well-being to all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of guidance and healing. Just let it flow out from you like a great spotlight or a great flowing of water from a fountain. Let it radiate out with tremendous energy and speed while rising up into the cosmos. At first, use great conscious effort to do this. Then I think you'll find you can surrender The radiations of love and well-being will continue through the action of the master within, who is well versed in these matters. Just let love and well-being radiate out like a great spotlight throughout the cosmos to all in need, from your heart and mind and the center of your being. Certain points, I think you'll find radiations will even speed up, and you'll know it's reaching those in need, known and unknown. And as we continue to apply the law of service, find at a certain point that you no longer need to make conscious effort and just surrender to the flow out from you. As it moves out, let your mind expand out into the cosmos and become the cosmic mind. These great radiations of love and well-being. Just continue to let the radiations of love and well-being continue. As we identify our mind with the cosmic mind, assume the cosmic mind, be the cosmic mind, experience as the cosmic mind experiences now. Soon we'll descend from the heights of the celestial sanctum, pass through a progression, physical, emotional, intellectual, psychic, and mystical experiences and phases in one continuum in unity. Let us formally conclude this period of work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace and the sending of metaphysical aid. We'll stay in meditation well longer by saying, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. So mote it be. Let us continue to apply the law of silence, the law of cosmic attunement, the law of assumption. Continue our meditation a while longer. Now let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum by first invoking the law of gratitude to thank all those who have taught us well, to all those who have loved us well, to all those who have sacrificed well on our behalf. Radiate love and well-being to them, inspired by their example, and the greatest example of the God within, the divine within, the master within. Let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, moving with tremendous speed past the superclusters of galaxies, the clusters of galaxies, the galaxies, enjoying the exhilaration of the descent. We're maintaining our cosmic attunement at all times, past the myriad stars and stellar phenomena, the wondrous beauty of it all through our psychic and physical senses, a deep sense of the harmony of the spheres, helping to tune us with the cosmic. We see in the distance our local galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, and let us plunge into our local arm of where our home is, past the myriad stars and stellar phenomena, the great webs, stellar web connecting the stars and the galaxies, and see in the distance our home, the solar system, and the beautiful elliptical orbits, and the great fiery ball of the sun again, the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, as we descend upon it. See the continent where we left off. Great nation or state, nation or country or province or state, our county, our geographic area or town or city. I invite you to say with me, following our invocation. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self, the celestial sanctum. So mote it be, and let us continue to send in our neighborhood, in our home or dwelling, our office, building, be left off, wherever we're situated, either seated or lying down or otherwise. We wish to stretch and open our eyes, feeling rejuvenated, reintegrated, re-energized, recharged, deeply rested, all the more ready for the work and worship, discharging of our duties and our mission in life. Thank you. Now, on this topic of psychic and mystical experiences compared to one of the very helpful concepts and diagrams of the Rosicrucians is referred to as the cosmic keyboard. And you see the various phenomena of nature, from sound waves to light waves, gamma waves, and so forth, and higher rates of vibration. And indeed, the psychic vibrations are very high octaves on that cosmic keyboard. In a way, it's like a piano keyboard, but extending, doubling and doubling in vibrations. The C note continues on the higher octave, and the higher octave C note again and again. And there's that interweaving resonance. It's very important how we dampen down higher spiritual, mystical, and psychic experiences, clothe them in impressions of the outer mind. Now, the psychic experiences are in those high rates of vibration predominantly. They're also associated with them what can be referred to as a correspondence, law of correspondence again here, between the 5 physical senses and the 5 psychic senses. So there's a psychic sight, psychic hearing, psychic taste, and so forth. Now, generally, childhood is a period of life when the psychic faculties are commonly active. Now, when the psychic faculties are not used, or if one takes the suggestion that they do not exist, one may start to believe that is the case, and the awareness of psychic phenomena becomes reduced. Indeed, many of you, I think, very appreciative of the beloved and poignant song, Puff the Magic Dragon, which can be viewed as describing the trajectory from childhood to adulthood that sometimes occurs in terms of decreased use of imagination and the psychic senses. However, some people, of course, remain active from childhood into adulthood in their use of the psychic senses. You may wish to reflect on your own life in that regard. Importantly, too, the Rosicrucian order AMORC encourages the activation and reactivation and very important and the enhancement of the psychic senses through understanding how they work, because often people have the experience of the psychic senses, but they don't know the laws and principles. Ultimately, we need to know the laws and principles to apply them in a masterfully responsible and helpful way for ourselves and others. Also, we start to appreciate more the purpose of the psychic experiences, the psychic senses. And we do this through the teachings of the Rosicrucian orders that are revealed to us weekly in the monographs, but also crucially the exercises. Just like we did some Rosicrucian exercises just earlier with our ascent to the heights of the celestial sanctum, the use of the breath, including extending the exhalation, stimulate the vagus nerve. All of these have to do with stimulating higher rates of vibration on the cosmic keyboard. In a way in life, becomes self-mastered by being a master pianist who knows how to play the various octaves of the great cosmic keyboard as needed for our welfare and that of others. Now, I know for experience of psychic phenomena for many is the human aura. And we sense the aura as color sensations, yes, I guess at times around people. Or sometimes you may experience it more as inner sensations or feelings that you receive in the contact with another person. And these can help us be more appreciative of others and also be more discerning on how to act and when we're with others, or both for their welfare and our own welfare and safety. Indeed, there's a tremendous range of psychic experiences that can be unique to each person, but universal in various other respects. I remember in earlier years being at a Rosicrucian Order AMORC World Convention in New York City. And the Imperator then was Ralph M. Lewis. And there was a video shown in the great ballroom where the recording of Imperator Lewis speaking to us. And I had a very strong impression that the image of him became three-dimensional, like he was there in an enlarged form. Now, was that literally happening? No, but in a psychic sense it was. And all the others in the room there, they may have experienced it that way, or they may have experienced his strong spiritual presence and his presence of the divine through within in him in their own unique way. They may have used other psychic senses in addition to the psychic sight. Another experience, just thinking of that convention, there's that Frater A.A. Tagliaferro that I know many of you deeply appreciate. He led us the whole convention in the Great Ballroom on a series of vowel sounds that were chanted. So several thousand Rosicrucians are intoning vowel sounds such as Om. And there was a particular way that he had us do them. It was tremendously resounding vibrations. And I had a distinct sense that we were just lifting off. It was like in a psychic sense of rising up into the cosmic, like we did. Others would have experienced it in a different way. I know too, in regard to vowel sounds, but also the experience of the aura and related, and the practicality of having psychic experiences. I remember a family friend who served during World War II, and he had mentioned that sometimes when he was on patrol and he was checking houses and buildings with other soldiers, sometimes he could have a sense not to enter that building or that house. And later he would verify that, yes, there was danger, there was a trap there. He learned to follow that inner voice associated with the intuition. And we receive these higher impressions through the intuition, through illumination, and through oneness with the cosmic. Similarly, the experience of the aura is various related experiences of what people often don't think of, but I can mention. There's a renowned Canadian artist named Jack Chambers who was very spiritually inclined. He lived in London, Ontario. I remember a description of a person mentioning that they were having um, a meal in a restaurant with Jack Chambers, and they were expecting Jack Chambers' partner, Olga, to join them. And at various times, the person who was the acquaintance or friend with Jack Chambers said, "Oh, I think person's coming in now. I think that's your part. Maybe that's your part." And he said, "No, that's not her." But his back was to the entrance. And so you could think, well, were there any mirrors? And that was eliminated. It didn't seem to be. Um, and sure enough, after several women had come in, in particular, he picked the, yes, that's her now. I wonder, well, how can you do that? Well, there's a variety of ways that can be done. If you can look first for physical causes, that's important. But one way is sensing the aura. I know in earlier years when Dennis Kwiatkowski was the Grand Master, he mentioned that the staff of Rosicrucian Park, they knew when the Imperator at that time, Ralph M. Lewis, was coming well before you could have any visual or physical auditory impressions. You can feel his aura coming. It was a very enriching experience because the aura extends tremendously, especially when it's highly charged through Rosicrucian exercises like we just did. Um, Similarly, I'll give you a Rosicrucian form article reference. And this is where psychic experience, sometimes it's helpful to know the laws and principles and how they operate, because otherwise they can sometimes be rather puzzling. And there's one that was mentioned in a Rosicrucian form article. A person written in the Department of Instruction said that um, at night they had been awoken when their partner had to go out to do some uh, called on emergency duty for some work. So they were lying in bed awake, and suddenly they saw a friend of theirs who had passed through transition floating head first through their home, and there was a buzzing sound, and then they passed out. And that they really were quite taken aback because they said they didn't dream it. It wasn't during a dream. It was very much very real, vivid experience. In some ways, person floating through um, uh, did not did not look to be in a very uplifted state. But part of the expression or reason given to them to consider from the Department of Instruction staff was that the aura extends everywhere. It can be sensed at any time. And it's available for some time even after transition or passing, as this beloved friend had passed. And this person was picking up on their aura in this way. Others will experience um, they could experience this matter through other psychic senses. Also, at the time of transition, sometimes people have certain concerns or fears. They don't fully understand what's going on, and sometimes we can pick that up, just as this soror or student of the order had through this floating figure of their friend through their house. As unusual as that sounds. But from these experiences, we can learn and have a much more expanded understanding of life. Now, one of the things to keep in mind about psychic experiences, in some ways distinct from mystical experiences, as we know, have that noetic quality. We know we know when we know that we know. And they give us a complete sense of understanding. And you sense immediately the truthfulness of them, the tremendous love, the tremendous sense of well-being and expanded understanding they give, the tremendous sense of being with all persons at once in the various ways that they manifest, and they come to us ultimately through psychic uh, and associated experiences of the subjective mind. But psychic experiences, one may pick up on the thoughts of others, which may not be truthful, for example, or one may have a particular impression that isn't more from the subconscious and not from the deep recesses beyond the subconscious. That yes, in the subconscious there can be various truths, but at the same time, if we move to the cosmic mind and take in there the deepest truths, um, there they have a surety or noetic quality, unlike psychic experiences necessarily. Just like that person puzzle, well, what was the meaning or truthfulness of that experience of seeing a beloved friend wrote through their home until they had more explanation, understand it, and analyze it. Mystical experiences are fine to analyze. At the time when we're having them, it's good just to surrender in good conscience. And then the deepest truths will stand any scrutiny and reasoning and the intellect. I think that's part of the reason why the Rosicrucian teachings we emphasize learning well the inductive and inductive reasoning. So we have the faculties fully developed. Now, one thing to keep in mind is it's good to know some physics, some physiology, and other sciences that sometimes we may think, or some people will tell us about some phenomena they've experienced, and they're interpreting it as psychic when it isn't. We can be misled in terms of our actions because of that. I know, for example, a person that would regularly do prayers and meditation, and then do a circumambulation on a rug in their home where their home sanctum was, and then when they finished up, they would reach for their doorknob, and they'd see this spark of energy pass from their hand to the doorknob that they interpreted as a psychic phenomena. But they needed to realize that it was a phenomena through static electricity. Again, it's a wondrous activity and something to know about. Sometimes people also, when they're driving in their car, particularly on a hot day, and they'll see heat rising from the road, and they'll see what appears to be these beautiful reflections. Almost feels like the sky is being reflected in the road or a pool of water. And indeed, this is a phenomena with the air rising and circulation of air causes the sky to be reflected and gives a very beautiful phenomenon that can appear like a mirage. Again, this is where it's helpful to know the laws and principles involved. Some of you may also have noted that when you're listening to a speaker, um, a person presenting, and you just let go of your focus for a while. Often it takes about a minute, but some may find quicker. And you just don't focus, but you look towards that fixed direction towards the speaker. You suddenly find that the appearance of the speaker changes, and there, even the scene around the speaker, the room may change. Now, our brain and outer mind is used to having images focused on. And when we don't do it, the brain and the outer mind will put in an image. This is part of the phenomena that can occur, for example, with the screen glass or crystal ball. It's not to say that certain things of a psychic nature can happen during these phenomena I described, but it's to be aware many of these things are sometimes described as psychic, can be produced through knowledge of physics, physiology, and related. And there we often have to then accept that that's the cause. At the same time, knowing the laws and principles of science and physics and electricity and so forth can also help us understand psychic phenomena at higher and higher rates of vibration. And that's why ideas and concepts about radios, for example, and tuning in on a channel is related to how we can psychically tune in to the thoughts of others or other places and so forth. These and many other lessons to do with psychic phenomena are taught to us in our Rosicrucian studies, and it's a great adventure. And one thing that's very important to keep in mind in experiencing psychic phenomena and mystical phenomena is it's very valuable, and the order encourages us thus in various ways in his teachings and suggested readings to have a great storehouse that is a memory of impressions of the senses, but also a wide range awareness of different forms of music, different forms of art and literature and sacred stories and science and great myths of one culture and in the world, because those impressions that are stored in the subconscious, they're being drawn from the subjective mind and come in through the objective senses. They can be drawn on, clothed those higher and higher rates of vibrations of the cosmic keyboard, where something comes deeply from within us in the mystical experience. It's clothed in psychic impressions, but also ultimately in physical impressions we associate with our senses. That's why we may have an expansive experience of tremendous vastness in cosmic consciousness, but our senses of seeing expansive views of the sky, or high view from a mountain or a lake or an ocean, that sense of vastness helps the outer mind experience even greater vastness. And the tremendous love that comes in a mystical experience, for example, experiences we've had with love of others in our own life, gives us a sense of how that tremendous love of all beings, of all persons, is possible, and it floods into the outer mind, and we have associated with our own experiences of love. It dampens down the vibrations to the lower octaves. Again, all working together in a unity. Now, it's true that for some persons um, who become students of the order, they're already well developed in psychic phenomena, but haven't had that much experience in mystical experiences, and may think that their psychic experiences are mystical experiences when, strictly speaking, they're not. Vice versa, there's some persons that have some deep mystical experiences, but haven't recalled that many psychic experiences or currently, or are still reactivating them from childhood. And then there's some persons that are rich in both. One thing is to keep in mind is the psychic experiences can happen very frequently. The deeper mystical experiences tend to be more spread out, but they forever change us, so they're always with us, and we can always draw them up in our memory. So it's good to think of our physical experiences, our emotional, psychic, and intellectual, um, um, with the psychic and mystical, all of equal value. The senses aren't to be damned. The psychic experiences are not to be looked down because we've had exalted mystical experiences and so forth. They're all of great value. One of the great values of the Rosicrucian tradition is to be balanced. To keep things in that balance. And that way, there's the most deepest sustained spirituality. This time, before we conclude, I want to ask Karen, paste in the chat uh, resources for you. And they'll also be put in there as a PDF document that you may find easiest to access the resources that way as the PDF. And this time, in way of concluding, I'd like to say that we continue to consider psychic and mystical experiences and comparing their great value and how they developed in the Rosicrucian studies, and we have more to understand the laws and principles. We also did an exercise where we had an experience of the psychic and the mystical experience and how they work together. And we applied the law of cosmic attunement to radiate love and well-being, but also to experience the great love and oneness that's at the depth of our being, that's at the back of the cosmos. So we followed up on Imperator Emeritus Lewis's Ralph M books on the illusions of the psychic, and also particularly his chapter 2 on the cosmic consciousness. And we've compared psychic and mystical experiences and the value of both for balanced growth. And they're part of the one continuum of vibration, the one unity. And so in this manner, we've continued to explore Rosicrucian laws and principles in their creative expression and their application for the mastery of life, harmonious living, and service. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us.